Let me hit you with something that might sound cold, but it's the truth. Sometimes silence speaks louder than anything you could ever say. And when it comes to women, no contact isn't just a strategy, it's a psychological weapon. Used right, it flips the script, but used wrong, it backfires hard. Welcome back, fellas. If you've ever been ghosted, left on red, or sat there wondering why she suddenly pulled away, this video is for you. Today we're diving into the dark psychology behind no contact, not just how it works, but why it messes with a woman's head in ways most men don't even understand. Here's the truth. Most guys go into no contact hoping she'll miss them. But the real power of this approach isn't just about her missing you. It's about creating emotional uncertainty, flipping the emotional burden back on her, and forcing her to feel what you've been feeling. But here's the catch. This isn't about being manipulative. It's about understanding how attraction works on a psychological level. See, when a woman is emotionally comfortable, she doesn't chase. She calculates. She analyzes. But when a woman starts feeling emotional pressure, when she can't read you, can't access you, and doesn't know where she stands, that's when her mind starts racing. That's when she starts chasing. But don't get it twisted. No contact isn't just ignoring her. It's not sulking. It's not waiting. It's emotional detachment, intentional distance, and silence with purpose. And in this video, I'm going to break it all down for you. We're going deep into what no contact actually triggers in a woman's mind, why it works, when it doesn't, and how to use it like a man who understands feminine psychology, not like a guy just hoping she texts back. Let's get into it. 1. Silence isn't weakness, it's psychological pressure. Let's break something big down right now. When a man goes silent, most people assume it's a sign of defeat, like he's giving up or walking away. But when done right, silence can be one of the most psychologically powerful tools in a man's arsenal. It's not weakness. It's controlled pressure. It's presence through absence. And women feel it more than you think. Here's the key. When you stop chasing, stop calling, stop showing up in her notifications, you don't just disappear from her phone, you start showing up in her mind. That silence, that sudden drop in attention, creates a gap she can't ignore. Because whether she admits it or not, women are hyper-aware of emotional dynamics. When something shifts, even if it's subtle, her brain starts scanning for answers. Let's say things got distant between you two. Maybe she pulled back, maybe she got cold, dismissive, disrespectful, or just plain indifferent. Most guys panic here and double down on effort. More texts, longer messages, desperate explanations. And let's be honest, that only makes things worse. The more you chase, the more she pulls away. That's because your attention becomes predictable, easy, and low value. But when you go quiet, not out of anger, but out of self-respect, that's when everything shifts. Now she's not just wondering where you went. She starts questioning what changed. Why isn't he reacting? Did I lose him? Is he talking to someone else? That's the pressure silence creates, not through force, but through curiosity, uncertainty, and emotional discomfort. And here's what makes it powerful. It's not manipulation, it's clarity. You're not playing a game, you're stepping back and letting her feel your absence. That feeling, it's uncomfortable. And discomfort leads to reflection. That's when she starts revisiting everything. How she treated you, how she acted, what she said. Your silence speaks volumes. It communicates that you're not begging. You're not bargaining. You're standing firm in your value. And a woman who's used to being chased will feel that drop like a weight. It triggers something ancient and instinctive. The fear of losing someone who stopped proving their worth and started knowing it. Silence becomes pressure when you pair it with presence. That means you're not disappearing to sulk. You're still showing up in life. You're focused, grounded, building, improving. She'll see that. She'll feel that shift. And what you're really doing is resetting the dynamic. You're flipping the emotional script from her being in control to her questioning if she still has access to you. Don't underestimate this. The right kind of silence hits deeper than the loudest argument. It leaves space. And in that space, a woman has to face the consequences of her own behavior. So no, silence isn't weakness, it's leverage. And it's the first move in the dark psychology of no contact. 2. Her mind fills the silence with doubt. Here's the part that most men underestimate about no contact. It's not what you say or do that gets her thinking. It's what she imagines. See, when you're constantly reaching out, explaining yourself, or trying to fix things, you're giving her certainty. She knows exactly where you stand. She doesn't have to guess. And guess what? Certainty kills curiosity. Certainty kills urgency. But when you go silent, her brain starts spinning. Because human nature, especially emotional female psychology, hates open loops. When something's unresolved, the mind keeps circling back to it, trying to make sense of it. That's why the no contact phase isn't about sitting in a corner hoping she'll miss you. It's about letting her feel the gap you left. And what fills that gap? Doubt. Did she mess things up? Is he done for good? Is he talking to someone else? Was he more valuable than I gave him credit for? These questions start swirling, especially if she thought she had you figured out. Your silence becomes a mirror, and in that mirror, she's not seeing a desperate man trying to fix things. She's seeing a man who could move on without her. And that fear, that uncertainty, that's what starts pulling her back in emotionally. Now here's the dark truth. Women don't always come back because they miss you. Sometimes they come back because they can't stand not knowing where they stand with you. It's ego, it's pride, it's the fear of being replaced. Your silence triggers that, especially if you've been consistent and present before. When you stop giving her the emotional attention she's used to, her self-image takes a hit. She's no longer the center of your world, and that loss of status stings. It makes her question her own appeal, her own power over you, and suddenly, the tables turn. You're no longer the one chasing validation, she is. But here's where a lot of men go wrong. They break silence too early. They peek back in with a message, a like, a reply, just to see if she'll bite. And that's when all the power you built up, gone. The mystery evaporates. The loop closes. She knows you're still waiting. So if you're going to use no contact, commit. Let the silence do the work. Let her fill in the blanks. Let her imagination stir up the emotions she tried to bury. Because when doubt enters her mind, emotions follow. And those emotions, curiosity, regret, anxiety, are way more powerful than anything you could say in a long paragraph or midnight text. This isn't about punishing her. It's about letting her experience the reality of losing access to you. That emotional discomfort, that's the consequence. And sometimes that's what it takes for her to actually feel your value. 3. No contact triggers. Her need for control. Let's talk about something deeper. Something that goes beyond attraction and digs into a woman's emotional core. Control. When a woman feels emotionally in control of a man, she knows she can call, text, or ignore you, and you'll still be there. She knows where you stand, she knows she has the upper hand, and she feels secure in that power dynamic. But here's where no contact flips the entire script. Your silence removes her sense of control. It shakes up the power balance. Suddenly she's not sure how much influence she has over you. She can't predict your next move. She can't feel that emotional grip she once had. And that loss of emotional control, that gets under her skin more than you think. Because women, especially those who are used to being chased or validated, don't just crave attention. They crave influence. The feeling that they can move you emotionally, that they matter enough to get a reaction from you. It's not always about love. It's about ego, status, and the comfort of knowing they still have you. When you go no contact, you take that influence away. You're no longer giving her the emotional cues she relies on. You're not reacting to her posts. You're not chasing her moods. You're not checking in when she's cold or distant. And that creates a psychological disruption. She starts to wonder, wait, did I lose him? Now here's where the dark psychology kicks in. If she's the kind of woman who's used to control, she'll start doing little things to get it back. She might post something suggestive online. She might accidentally text you. She might ask a mutual friend how you're doing. These aren't signs of love, they're signs of her trying to re-establish control. What men need to realize is that this isn't always a sincere attempt to reconnect. Sometimes it's just her trying to test if she still has emotional power over you. And if you bite too early, if you break silence because of one breadcrumb, you've just handed that control back to her. No contact works not because it hurts her. It works because it disrupts her sense of emotional certainty. It forces her to feel what life is like without your emotional energy. And for a woman who's used to being in control of men emotionally, that's deeply uncomfortable. But this is also where your self-discipline is tested. If you're doing no contact just to manipulate her or get her back faster, it won't work. Women can smell desperation in silence just like they can in words. The power of no contact only works when it's real, when you're truly stepping back, resetting your value, and reclaiming your emotional center. If she reaches out, don't be quick to reward that behavior. Observe it. Let her sit in that discomfort a little longer. Because the longer she sits without control, the more she starts to value what she lost. 4. Silence forces her to confront the void. Here's something most men overlook. Women don't just miss you because they love you. They miss the presence, the consistent emotional energy you gave them, the access to your thoughts, the comfort of your attention, even your reactions. When you go silent, you're not just disappearing, you're creating a void. And that void? It makes her uncomfortable. It forces her to face herself without the mirror of your attention. Think about it. When a woman knows she can call, text, or vent to you and you'll respond, she's not really alone. She still has access to your emotional world. Even if she's the one who pulled away, as long as you're there reacting, apologizing, or trying to fix things, she doesn't have to feel the absence. You're still emotionally available, even if the relationship ended. But when you pull back completely and do it correctly, no reaching out, no responding, no liking her posts, no checking her stories, now the dynamic changes. For the first time, she's left to sit in the space you once filled. And that silence, that's what drives her internal questions. She starts to wonder, why isn't he reaching out? Has he moved on already? Did I matter less than I thought? This is where the psychology of absence becomes powerful. Because human beings don't just miss what they had. They obsess over what they suddenly no longer have access to. And this is even more intense for women who are used to attention, who expect to be chased, or who are accustomed to emotional validation from men. What most men don't understand is that women are not always logical in how they process disconnection. A woman can walk away from a man and still expect his emotional presence to linger. She might assume he'll be there in some form, emotionally orbiting her. So when she feels nothing, no calls, no texts, no digital breadcrumb trail, it's unsettling. She starts to question whether she misread your value or overestimated her hold on you. Now here's the deeper layer. That silence doesn't just trigger curiosity, it can trigger insecurity, and that insecurity leads to overthinking. She'll replay conversations, she'll rethink her actions, she'll even stalk your online presence to look for signs of how you're doing, all because the silence forces her to confront something most people avoid, the emotional void they left behind. But here's the mistake many men make. They break silence too early. They interrupt the void before it fully sets in. They reach out when she posts something sad. They respond to a baiting text. And just like that, they fill the space again. Too soon, too eager, and too available. If you're using no contact the right way, understand this. It's not just about withholding attention. It's about allowing your absence to speak louder than your words ever could. You're giving her the space to miss you, yes. But more importantly, you're letting her feel the consequences of losing your presence. That silence is your power. Don't ruin it by breaking it prematurely. 5. Her ego doesn't expect you to detach. Let's talk about something rarely discussed but incredibly real. Her ego. When a woman walks away or pulls back, especially if she believes she holds the emotional upper hand, she doesn't actually expect you to detach. Not fully, not coldly, not like a man who knows his worth. What she expects is emotional resistance, maybe a little begging, chasing, reassurance seeking, or at the very least, confusion. Why? Because it feeds her ego. It confirms that she still has emotional power over you. But when you go into no contact and actually stick to it, when you don't flinch, don't chase, don't fall into emotional traps, you're doing something her ego wasn't prepared for. You're showing her that she doesn't have the kind of control she thought she had. And that's when things start to shift. Let's say she left thinking you'd spiral. Maybe she assumed you'd be the guy who sends long texts, asking for closure. Maybe she thought you'd watch all her stories or blow up her phone after a few days of silence. Instead, she gets nothing. Not a word, not a view, not even a breadcrumb. It messes with her reality. Her ego starts asking the questions her heart isn't ready for. Why is he acting like he doesn't care? Was I overestimating my importance to him? Is he already over me? That last one hits hardest. Because to the female ego, being easily replaced is one of the biggest hits it can take. It's not even always about love or missing you. It's about what your silence says about how she ranks in your life. And if you stay silent long enough, that silence starts looking like strength. Like maybe you've got options. Maybe you've moved on. Maybe, just maybe, she never had the power she thought she did. The reality is, many women are addicted to emotional validation. Not always attention from everyone, but especially attention from the man they were once involved with. It makes them feel important, attractive, unforgettable. And when you remove that, you don't just deny them comfort, you shatter the illusion. Here's where it gets interesting. Some women will come back not because they want to be with you, but because they want to prove they can still get to you. That's the ego talking. That's why it's so important that if you re-engage, you do it from a position of control, not desperation. Because if you fold the moment she reaches out, all your power resets. The spell is broken. So understand this clearly. Going silent isn't just a tactic to get her attention. It's a direct hit to the one thing she protects the most, her belief that she still matters to you. If you can hold that silence, not with bitterness, but with quiet self-respect, her ego won't just feel bruised, it'll start craving your validation again. And once she starts chasing it, the dynamic has changed completely. 6. The fear of replacement kicks in now. Here's where things really start to get psychological and a little dark. When you stay silent, when you don't reach out, when you seem completely unbothered by her absence, something starts growing in her mind. It's not guilt. It's not even always regret. It's fear. The fear of being replaced. Women may leave thinking you'll be in emotional limbo, stuck in your feelings, waiting. But when the silence drags on, and there's no indication that you're falling apart, her mind goes places. She starts imagining things, wondering, assuming. And that's dangerous to her ego, because women know how the game works. They know that if you're not chasing them, you're either working on yourself and leveling up, getting attention from someone else, or worst of all, you've already replaced her emotionally or physically. Now here's what makes that so powerful. She starts realizing that the longer she waits, the more likely she is losing her spot in your life. That fear grows louder with time, especially if you're the kind of man who has value, confidence, and options. If she knows even a little bit about your worth, that fear of replacement becomes very real, very fast. It's no longer about how she felt when she left. It's about what she's potentially losing by staying gone. Here's the real twist. Women are far more afraid of being replaced than they are of being rejected. Rejection is a moment. It stings, but it passes. But replacement, that cuts deeper. It says, you weren't special. You were temporary. And that is what no contact forces her to face. The brutal idea that you might be just fine or even better without her. This is why you don't break silence prematurely, not even for a friendly message. Because the moment you do, you give her reassurance. You tell her, I'm still here. I haven't moved on. You still matter. That calms her fears, and it recharges her power. But when you don't respond, when days turn to weeks and you remain focused, quiet, and consistent, that fear evolves. She starts stalking your social media more than you ever did hers. She starts asking mutual friends about you. She watches your stories when you finally post something. Why? Because she needs proof you're still stuck. If she doesn't get it, that panic grows. Here's something you may not have considered. A woman doesn't have to see you with someone else to feel replaced. All she needs is the possibility. You being silent, focused, and emotionally stable sends the message, I'm moving forward, with or without you. And that's when the power shifts, because now she's the one thinking about you. She's the one wondering if she made a mistake. She's the one calculating if she should come back before someone else takes her place. No contact isn't just about silence. It's about sending a message without saying a word. You're not the only woman in the world. You're not irreplaceable. And when she truly starts to believe that, her whole emotional state changes. 7. Why no contact forces you to level up as a man? Here's the truth most men overlook. No contact isn't just about her, it's about you. Yes, it affects her emotionally, mentally, even physically over time. But the real magic of no contact lies in what it does to you. When a woman leaves or pulls away, it stings. It can hit your pride, your confidence, your peace. And most men either try to chase her, fix the situation, or spiral into neediness. But no contact, that's the opposite of all that. It forces you to face the silence, to feel it, and eventually to grow beyond it. Let's be honest here. If you're using no contact just to manipulate her emotions, you're missing the deeper point, because this is your window to transform. The time you would have spent texting, worrying, overthinking, now becomes energy you can reinvest into yourself. And if you do it right, something powerful starts to happen. Your mind gets clearer, your body gets stronger, your emotions settle, your standards rise, your focus returns, and when you start improving in those areas, everything about you changes. Your energy shifts. You become less reactive, more grounded, less available, more intentional. That's when women, not just her, start noticing you. But here's the part most men don't want to admit. The reason no contact works on her is because it works on you first. It forces you to confront your weaknesses, your emotional dependency, your habits of people-pleasing or overgiving. It exposes how much of your confidence was tied to her validation, and then gives you the space to reclaim it. This isn't about being cold. It's not about becoming arrogant. It's about rebuilding yourself from the inside out, without distraction, without chasing, without begging. If she comes back, she'll be dealing with a different version of you. One that doesn't just miss her, but knows his value with or without her. And if she doesn't come back, even better, you've already outgrown the version of yourself that needed her approval to feel complete. Now let me be real with you. Some of you are in pain right now. You miss her. You think silence is punishment. You feel like you're losing time. But that pain, that discomfort, it's the gym for your masculinity. It's where your emotional strength gets trained, where your discipline forms, where your self-respect builds. Because if you can hold the line, if you can stay grounded when she pulls away, you become the kind of man she was never prepared to lose. And here's something else to reflect on. Most women don't come back to the same man they left. They come back when they sense he's no longer waiting, no longer broken, no longer revolving his life around them. No contact helps you become that man. So take this seriously. Don't just use it as a trick to win her back. Use it as a blueprint to evolve. Let her absence sharpen your mindset. Let it refine your focus. Let it remind you that your life is not on pause. Because at the end of the day, the best revenge is becoming a version of yourself that doesn't need to look back. You're not losing her. You're finding you. Here's a hard pill to swallow, but one every man needs to hear. Sometimes her walking away was the best thing that could have happened to you. Why? Because it woke you up. It pulled you out of emotional dependence. It forced you to sit with yourself, to reflect, to rebuild. That's the real dark psychology of no contact. It doesn't just impact her mind, it reshapes yours. Most men think they're using no contact to make her miss them. But what if I told you the real win is that you stop missing the version of yourself who needed her to feel valuable? Women respond to energy. And when your energy shifts from chasing to choosing, from needing to knowing, from waiting to walking forward, everything about you becomes more attractive. Not because you're playing games, but because you've recentered your power. The silence, the space, the distance. That's where clarity is born. That's where real growth happens. So if you're going through no contact right now, don't just count the days. Make the days count. Focus on becoming better, not bitter. Stronger, not colder. Clearer, not confused. And if you've been through this before, drop your story in the comments. I want to hear from you. Let other men learn from what you've experienced. This isn't just about one woman. It's about how you show up in every area of life going forward. Remember, when a woman pulls away, it's not the end. It's your invitation to rise. And trust me, she'll feel it.